Radio.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to 92.7 FM Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com. You guys already know what it is right now because it's Thursday night, which means we do football things. We do NFL stuff. We do college football stuff. Usually I go through all the picks of the SEC. I'm going to probably go through some picks of the title games, the conference title games, because we don't have the whole SEC anymore. We just have two teams in the SEC. Auburn, Georgia. Who you got? You can call in with that answer, 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. If you have an answer to that question, you already know what my answer is. My answer is Georgia. My answer's been Georgia all year long. Yeah, I know yesterday I waffled a little bit. I had doubt. All normal people have doubts. I'm just saying. I believe in the young man, Jake Fromm. He's really good. And here's the thing. Leave it to me to doubt Jake Fromm yesterday and then spend a good chunk of my night last night watching Jake Fromm film and going, you know what? No, I believe in the young man again. I'm back. You have to, though. Because he looks like the second coming of Aaron Murray. And that is not an insult. Aaron Murray was cool when he was at Georgia. You remember Aaron Murray? You remember Aaron Murray? That guy was great. That guy was great. So anyway, yeah, I like Jake Fromm a lot. They're going to need him to step up, though. They're not going to have a chance in this game. No Jake Fromm means no chance for Georgia. And also, you can't play from behind. But we saw what happened in this last game. You can't play from behind against this Auburn defense if you're Georgia, and knowing that if you're Georgia, you love to run the ball. You can't be behind in this because when they force you to start throwing, you're going to put all of your eggs in the basket of a freshman quarterback. And that's going to be a tough thing to ask. That's a tall order. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about the NFL stuff. We'll talk about Thursday Night Football tonight. My Redskins playing Sam Jordan's Cowboys. So we've got some office rivalry going on here at Nooga Radio. Friendly rivalry, though. Friendly, respectful, because both of our teams are bad. So, how much bragging can you actually do when two teams are playing on Thursday Night Football and they're both 5-6? How much bragging could you actually do? I think that's a very good question. Also, all the experts are picking the Redskins to win this game, which means, of course, they will find a way to lose it. I'm just saying. But we got to start talking about Tennessee and the coaching search at Tennessee, which at this point can only be described as absolutely embarrassing. Right? They offered a job to NC State head coach, to Coach Dorn up at NC State. They offered him a job, and he turned it down. Now, here's the thing to know about Dorn. I don't even think he's that great of a coach. Is he even good? What splashes did you see NC State making? Has Dorn ever coached a top 10 defense or offense ever? What, no? How is this an improvement over Greg Schiano if we're just talking coaching ability? How is that an improvement? And even that guy said no to your job. And at this point, you just have to take it, right? Let me give you an example of what's going on here in Tennessee and how embarrassing this all looks. When I was a kid, I lived in Texas, and they would make us learn square dancing. We had to square dance. That was one of the things that they made us do in gym class. It was absolutely mortifying, in large part because you had to find a partner to dance with, and the partner to dance with, you wanted it to be the girl that you liked, right? That's what you wanted, right? And necessarily, the girl that liked you back might not necessarily be the girl that you like. So you're trying to find the dancing partner that you want, and you're trying to avoid dancing partners that you don't want. And that's what Tennessee football is doing right now. They are looking at every attractive dancing partner in the room and avoiding the dancing partners that they don't want, even though those partners want them back, right? They're just looking past them and pretending like they don't see them, just what? Who's standing there? No, I didn't see you there. No, I was looking somewhere else. I don't know if I want you. What are you talking about? And they're just looking around everybody and looking around T. Martin and looking around Les Miles and looking every other direction to try and find somebody, anybody. My question here is, can you afford to be that picky? Because there does come a point where you realize, okay, the prettiest girl in class is not dancing with me. Maybe, just maybe, I should at least dance with the girl that wants to dance with me before even she's not available. Maybe I should at least do that, right? Because that's where we are with this. You've got T. Martin and Les Miles who actually want the job, and you are offering the job to everybody and making just a fool of yourself, because that's exactly what happens in those situations, right? Like, you're trying to figure out who your dancing partner is and everybody's pairing off. The thing is, if you keep going to potential dance partners and they keep rejecting you, you start to look foolish at a certain point. Like, when you are just 7 partners down the line and none of them want to dance with you, it should be obvious. Yeah, at least dance with the person that wants to dance with you. T. Martin wants to be the coach of Tennessee football, right? And he fits the bill of what they want. Sure, okay, Peyton Manning doesn't like him. Throw that out the window, though. Does Peyton Manning run the organization? Oh, wait, no, he doesn't? Fine. So take Peyton Manning's opinion and just toss it out the window. We still love Peyton, but it shouldn't matter here. He's not running things. And T. Martin is an offensive guy. Check, because that's something that Tennessee football didn't have, a non-existent offense in the Butch Jones era. Tennessee ran like 4 plays, right? They ran that bubble screen that never worked. You know the one I'm talking about. They go trips to the right and just run that bubble screen that never, ever worked. They'd run that awkward pitch play run, right? It would be a run up the middle, but it would never just be a straight-up handoff to the back. You just sort of awkwardly pitch it back there. And then you had 2 passing plays. You got the deep 9 route that never connected, and then you had the slant pass that sometimes worked. Like, we ran 4 plays at Tennessee football. You know what you get if you get T. Martin? You get an offense. I can't promise you anything else, but you get an offense that might actually function. They're telling you over at USC, the Trojans are telling you, T. Martin is ready to go. Also, if you get T. Martin, you know what you get? You get a young guy. T. Martin's 39 years old, which means if you hire that guy and he's a good fit and he works out, you can lock this dude in for the next 10 to 15 years, and you can have your coaching situation set for the next decade and a half. Well, that's cool. Who doesn't want that, right? Because I understand Les Miles also wants the job, but if you get Les Miles, understand that you are banishing any idea of a functioning offense to the shadow realm. It's never coming back. Like, you just know that you're not going to be playing offense. Just know that. But your defense will be super good, and you'll be hiring a respectable coach, and a guy who can recruit, and a guy who's familiar in the SEC, and a guy who's familiar in the South, who may have had his struggles in the SEC West, but you'd be moving him over to the SEC East. Like, even Les Miles is an improvement over nobody. But no, who's the next coach up on top of the rumor mill? On top of the Twitter machine, on top of the scuttlebutt manufacturer? That's right, Kevin Sumlin is the guy that's being looked at next, per SEC Country Reports. And I'm trying to figure out how. Now, I don't have any problems with Kevin Sumlin. I think that if Kevin Sumlin went to Tennessee, look, again, taking a guy from the SEC West and putting him in the SEC East, I think makes his life so much easier that it's not even funny. And it's not like Kevin Sumlin isn't good at coaching offense. He'd give you that. He's a fairly young guy. He'll give you that. He's a player's guy. He'll give you that. Players will love him in the locker room. But you do have some things that Butch Jones did that you're trying to move on from. For instance, Butch Jones didn't really have institutional control. There was a certain level of guys who were able to do whatever they wanted under Butch Jones, and there was not a whole lot of discipline, and there wasn't seemingly a ton of structure in that way. And if you hire Kevin Sumlin, you're going to be hiring a guy that's totally cool with not that much structure, right? As we saw from how he handled having Johnny Manziel as his quarterback. And that he actually had 2 quarterbacks transfer out because there wasn't enough structure. That was literally the reason why they left. So you're going to be taking that chance on a guy with Kevin Sumlin. Sure. But for me, it's like, don't chase Kevin Sumlin if you don't think he's going to say yes. At this point, hire the guy that just wants to coach for you. Because I think that that is at least a base level bar that you have to clear. Right? You can have all of these other standards, but if the first thing on that list is wants to coach for you, if that requirement's not met, you don't have a coach, right? Clutch with Keon on Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com on 92.7 FM. I have friends that are women that are just picky in what kind of guy they are willing to date, like super picky. And I think that there is a certain level of pride in yourself that you have to have when you are choosing a partner in life, right? When you're choosing to date somebody, you don't want to waste your time with some guy that's absolutely useless. There's a certain level of discernment that needs to be there. I get it. I understand it entirely. However, you can have a bunch of other things that you want in a guy. Oh, he's got a good car, and he's got a good job, and he's 6'2", and all of these other things that people want. But if the first requirement of wants to date you back is not actually met, if that's not the checkbox that's not marked, none of the other stuff matters. Right? That's the game that Tennessee is playing right now. And how is this not obvious to John Curry that this is embarrassing? It is embarrassing. Okay? This is how you wind up being the lady that's like 57 years old, never did get married, and lives with 13 cats. Like, that's how you do it. You just end up being so picky that you never look at the obvious, oh, that's the person that wants to actually be here. How is this possible? This is embarrassing, right? And I know this is embarrassing. You want to know how I know it's embarrassing? There are other coaching stories that are happening that are going entirely unreported that should be equally as embarrassing, right? They should be absolutely as embarrassing, but it's not. Because Tennessee is taking up all the embarrassment headline for everybody. Arkansas is literally waiting for Gus Malzahn to finish a season that might actually wind up being some form of a championship season. He might actually... They're waiting for Gus Malzahn to see if he'll actually leave Auburn. I don't think he leaves Auburn. That's embarrassing for Arkansas. Like, that's the best guy that they have on their list is the guy who's already coaching a really good college football team at a bigger school that has more money, that is on the verge of being able to play in a college football playoff and a chance for a title. That's the best that Arkansas football is capable of doing at this particular moment. That should be embarrassing, but it's not, because Tennessee is sucking up all the embarrassment headlines. The University of Oregon is going to have to pay Willie Taggart, their head coach, more money just to stay at Oregon after 1 year in which he led the team to a 7-5 season, okay? This isn't a guy that's led this team to the promised land. He had 1 year, 7-5. And they're trying to double down on trying to keep Willie Taggart because Willie Taggart might leave and go to Florida State. That's embarrassing. Florida State trying to figure out how to hang on to Jimbo Fisher because Jimbo Fisher might leave and go to Texas A&M. Why? Nobody knows. That's also embarrassing. And we can't talk about any of these other embarrassing coaching carousel headlines because Tennessee football has found a way to suck all of the oxygen out of the room. They have found a way to suck up all the embarrassing coaching headlines themselves. Tennessee has like 4 or 5 embarrassing coaching headlines a day. A day. Because I wake up late in the day. I start my days a little bit late. And when I wake up, there's been like 3 guys that have been asked to be the head coach of Tennessee football and then have declined it by the time I wake up in the day. Right? I learned on Sports Talk with Sam Jordan, they asked Jason Witten, who's currently playing football in the NFL at a very high level, 15th year with the Dallas Cowboys. I know Jason Witten was a great Vol, but what are you doing? Has that ever happened? Has a guy ever left playing in the league to coach a team. Why is this so embarrassing? And why does John Curry not realize that this is embarrassing? Because here's the thing, too. Here's the thing. John Curry is a former Tennessee alum. The whole point in hiring John Curry is that he would understand the fan base. He would understand what makes Tennessee football tick, what Vols football is all about. He would understand all of those things. But he doesn't seem to get it. He doesn't seem to get it. And that's the thing that boggles my mind and blows my mind entirely, is that he does not get it. And how is that possible? Listen, I'm not even a Tennessee fan. Right? I've lived here for a number of years, but I'm not a Tennessee fan. I'm from Texas. I like the Longhorns. That's just what it is. And even I knew when they started mentioning Greg Schiano's name that Greg Schiano was not going to work. Even I knew this. So somebody explain to me how John Curry, Tennessee alum, current athletic director of the University of Tennessee, somehow missed the memo that Greg Schiano was not the one. How did it happen? How does that happen? This is really embarrassing, my guy. I don't know how to tell John Curry this. It's embarrassing. Stop it. Find somebody that wants to coach. There's like two guys that have been obviously interested in the job. Reach out to one of them and hire them. Right? I don't care what Peyton Manning wants. Peyton Manning isn't the quarterback of this team anymore. Peyton Manning is not on the board. Peyton Manning is not running anything. Right? Like, Peyton Manning's opinion should not count for anything. Okay? And here's why. Because Peyton Manning is a fan. And we don't have to worry ourselves about what a single fan wants. He's a fan now. Like the rest of us. He no longer plays at Tennessee. He is now a fan. Like the rest of us. I don't care if Peyton Manning and T. Martin have beef. T. Martin is the obvious fit here. Okay? I have heard some people calling for Lane Kiffin to come back. You don't want those problems. You don't want those problems. You don't need Lane Kiffin embarrasses Tennessee part 2. Okay? We don't need the return of Joey Freshwater. Right? Which, by the way, I heard the Joey Freshwater persona still very active. Joey Freshwater, by the way, is what Lane Kiffin refers to himself as when he goes out to bars to try and pick up college age women. You don't want those Lane Kiffin problems. We don't want the Joey Freshwater problems. At all. No one is ready to sign up for any of those things. I'm not ready to sign up for any of those things. Are you ready to sign up for Joey Freshwater problems? Again? Again? How quickly we forget. I have not been in Tennessee that long, but I've been in Tennessee long enough I was here when Lane Kiffin embarrassed this school once. Really? You'd sign up for that again? Thankfully, John Curry isn't considering Lane Kiffin, but that's about the only correct thing that he's doing right now. Because other than that, this fine program, this historically relevant football program has been embarrassed. And it's been embarrassed over and over and over again. And nobody seems to be able to stop John Curry, the man at the top. Now, people have said that you need to fire John Curry. Easy there. Easy. You can't fire John Curry. You can't. This entire problem began because Tennessee looks like a dysfunctional organization. Now, granted, that is John Curry's fault. Tennessee looks incredibly dysfunctional right now. That is entirely his fault. However, Nothing makes you look more dysfunctional than firing the athletic director not even one full calendar year into being the athletic director. Nothing says, look at us, we're a dumpster fire, quite like firing your athletic director after your athletic director botches the hiring of a new coach. Those are the stories that will be told for ages. You can't do this. Like that is a mistake. Nothing's going to make you look worse, more disheveled as a program than firing John Curtis. You actually can't. He has immunity based on incompetence. Watch Keon Rosen on Nuke Radio, nukeradio.com on 92.7 FM. We've got to talk about the Jersey Talk.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news. Now,
after a string of burglaries dating all the way back to last July, investigators presented a case to the grand jury which allowed for the arrest of up to 8 people, each charged with multiple charges. They're believed to have been involved in a burglary ring operating in Ottawa, Collegedale, and East Brainerd. Each of the individuals having multiple charges pressed against them, including theft of property, burglary of an auto, aggravated burglary, and vandalism. Some of the accused were arrested in Marion County, and some are pending. The sheriff's office is wanting to move its mentally ill prisoners. The cost of $420,000 for 7 mentally ill individuals who spent over 11 years in jail. The plan is to contract with the Corporation for Supportive Housing to help develop a program to get these mentally ill individuals out of the county jail. A task force is being put together by the county commission to determine a new location for the sheriff's shooting range. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
Expect some leftover clouds, but drier weather out there through your nighttime. Overnight lows into the upper 40s. For your Friday, more sunshine returns. Should be a beautiful afternoon. Highs settling into the lower 60s. Tomorrow night, lows 38 to 40 with more dry and pleasant weather through the weekend. Come to Larry's World Famous Buffet in Trenton for some of the finest home-style cooking around. Larry also offers catering. That's Larry's. Open Thursdays through Sundays. Just call 559 in Trenton. And I'm Sorrentine 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Moore.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Cash, and more cash. Hey, where do you think Santa shops? Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. He made a special stop to tell Rick, slash those prices. Ooh, ho, ho. That's right now for Christmas at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Even Rick's not going to say no to Santa. No. Don't wait till after Christmas. It'll be way too late. Get your cash right now for your gold, your silver, your diamonds, and jewelry. Has Rick gone mad?
Or maybe a little.
No, we think he's just Christmassy. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. You know where it is. Hey, is that Santa? Ooh, ho, ho. Even Rick's not going to say no to Santa. No. Get your cash right now.
An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with the deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room, game, and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
I can't speak for everybody, but I know when I was a kid, I don't think my mom's going to be proud here just because my mom, wonderful person, greatest work ethic of anybody I ever met my whole life. My mom worked a lot when I was a kid. My dad too. They worked nights, worked all kinds of shifts. They were nurses. So nurses if you are a nurse, know a nurse, have been raised by a nurse ever, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like nurses just have the wildest schedules ever. And so what ended up happening was when I woke up in the morning to go to school, very often, and this is like around middle school age, I was responsible for dressing myself. And I think that was a mistake because I would just put on whatever, right? Like I would put on a hoodie and no shirt under the hoodie. Like the hoodie was what I was wearing that day. And nobody was around to tell me that was a bad idea. And I would get home before my parents were either awake and about to head back out to work or what have you. Right? Like that to me is, I think back on that and nothing makes me cringe harder than half the stuff I decided to go to school wearing. Like people must have thought
I had a good understanding of what a rivalry was all about. Coming from Alabama, I lived in Alabama for 33 years, so I mean that's all I knew. And the whole
the Dabo Swinney out there lying again. And Dabo Swinney talking about a rivalry, but no. So here's the thing: I wore whatever, and no one was there to tell me no. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more fashion conscious. I understand that you can't wear whatever colors you want to wear, right? But somebody has failed to tell the NFL, and someone has failed to tell Nike this, that you can't just take a team's colors and make the whole uniform one color and think that that's cool, right? But no, the NFL has been running out for the past few years or so these color rush uniforms where they take one color on your uniform and make your whole uniform that color, which is actually not that bad if you have dark colors. Right? Like the Raiders just wear black. That's cool. You know, the Bills just wear blue. That's fine. But when your colors get to be lighter colors, listen, that's when it starts to get a little bit embarrassing. That's when it starts to get just a little bit embarrassing. And the stupid thing about it is this: the NFL does not care how tragic you look. The NFL does not care how impossibly stupid you look. It's tragic. And the Washington Redskins are going to go out there tonight, and one of the main colors in the Redskins uniform is yellow. And the NFL has made their whole uniform yellow. Why would you try and blind us like that? You know football games are like 3 hours long. Why are you blinding us like that? How is that possibly okay? To have an entire football team going out on the football field looking like they bathed in a vat of mustard. How's that okay? It looks like a highlighter factory exploded on the whole football team. Why does the NFL think that this is cool? And I actually read a story that the Redskins were going to try and refuse to wear the color rush uniforms. And I have no idea what the penalty for that is, because the NFL does have that contract with Nike, and they do need to fulfill it by wearing the clothes that Nike says to wear. I'm just saying, when the uniform looks whack, what is the obligation to wear it? And do you not have some kind of moral obligation to not wear stupid stuff? And to just not look generally like a buffoon? Because I think you do. I think you do. And I remember last year when they had the Rams play. Who they had the Rams playing? They had the Rams playing somebody. And they made the Rams wear that disturbing yellow. It's the same yellow. Stop it, NFL. Stop it. Really? The team's colors are burgundy and gold. And you couldn't make them wear the burgundy? And you're going to sit there and make us watch this football game that, look, we're watching 2 5-6 teams play each other. It's already an assault on my eyeballs to begin with. And now you're going to make me sit down and watch it in terrible yellow? Stop it. Stop it. I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't do it. Sounds awful diva of me, but I can't do it. Sit down and watch my football team basically looking like they dressed up like a bunch of school buses to go play football. I can't do it. Looks like they dipped their uniforms in cheese. It's impossible. How do you take one element of someone's uniform and make it the whole uniform? Like, man, the yellow in the uniform is a secondary color for a reason. Because nobody wants an entirely yellow uniform. I'm talking the top. The jersey is yellow. The pants are yellow. The shoes are yellow. The only thing that's not yellow is the helmets. And at that point, you might as well just make the helmets yellow too. It's just silly. It's just silly. I can't do it. It hurts my heart. But anyway, let's get into some of these NFL picks. Because it is Thursday, and we do the NFL picks on Thursday. We'll do them quick because I want to talk about Auburn and Georgia some more because I'm really, really, really excited about that game. And I picked Georgia all year. I picked Georgia as the dark horse to win the whole SEC, and I feel so smart and smug right now. No one's ego is more inflated than my ego currently is. Well, maybe Chip Kelly's. But his ego just stays that way. But I'm a close second. So Sunday, first game, Falcons, Vikings. The Vikings are 9-2. The Falcons are 7-4. They've won 3 in a row now. And look, they're trying to stay in this crazy NFC in the playoff picture because they currently are. You start the playoffs today, the Falcons would make the playoffs, but they have to keep winning, right? You have to keep winning because every team in the NFC looks to be some version of good, right? And the Vikings, of all teams, have been phenomenal. Now, I know the Vikings defense is a top 5 defense, so that's not surprising to me that the Vikings are really good. What's surprising to me is that Case Keenum has been the man to lead them, and he looks, I don't want to say MVP-esque, but he does look like a starting quarterback in this league, right? Case Keenum looks good, absolutely good. And you play the Falcons are playing for their playoff lives here. A loss could be the end of the run. A loss could be you, as Atlanta fans, missing the playoffs. I'm going to take Atlanta in this game because I like how they've been playing lately. I like how many points they've been putting up on the board. And as of the last 3 games, it looks like Julio Jones is woken up. And you're not going to like Julio when he wakes up because he's impossible to tackle. He's faster, bigger, stronger than you with incredible hands and an ability and a nose to find the end zone. The next game is the Detroit Lions versus the Baltimore Ravens. They're both 6-5. I honestly couldn't tell you who's the better team in this game. They are roughly the same team. Maybe not in terms of actual talent, but in terms of hit or missness, which is a word I just made up because I'm a broadcaster and I can do that. These two teams specialize in that. I cannot tell you who wins this game necessarily just based on fact, but I'm going to go with my gut and say that the Ravens have been finding ways to win gut-out victories, as the old cliche goes. So I'm going to just stick with them, because why not? The Bills and the Patriots. The Bills are 6-5 and have to give the job back to Tyrod Taylor after taking it away from him mercilessly and giving it to Nathan Peterman. And Vols fans knew all about Nathan Peterman. So when Nathan Peterman showed up and just played like booty for 2 whole games, then everybody was aware that this was a bad idea. The Patriots are going to make the playoffs and win that division the way that they always do. And I think that they're going to beat the Bills on Sunday. The 49ers are 1-10. The Bears are 3-8. I'm going to go with the Niners, though, because I like Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo's going to get the start. He came in for the injured C.J. Beathard at the end of last week's game. And even though he was playing for like 3 minutes, managed to score a touchdown immediately. I like Garoppolo. I think Garoppolo is going to do great things in San Francisco, and I think the beginning of the Garoppolo era has begun, even though the 49ers don't really want to risk any injury to the guy. You're going to have to do it now because he already showed what he can do. And your fans just want to see some wins go on the board, man. I think the 49ers beat the Bears. Shout out to Mitchell Trubisky, though. The Packers are playing the Buccaneers, and this is one of the doo-doo bowls of the day. Has to be. And I'm going to take the Packers. Why? Do I believe in Hundley? No, I don't. But I also don't believe in the Buccaneers, and I also don't believe in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Also, I don't like Ryan Fitzpatrick, so there's that too. There's a little bit of bias there. I'm not even going to use facts for this one. I'm just going to take the Packers because they're both bad. The Colts and the Jaguars. And the Jaguars are playing defense at an elite level, right? Whenever they have a healthy Leonard Fournette, they look impossible to defeat. And they are so good in almost all facets of the game that even Blake Bortles cannot make them lose. And the Colts are the Colts. They're terrible. I like Jacoby Brissett, though. I mean, I think that he's doing the best that he can with what he's got, but what he's got is not a whole lot. And he's not Andrew Luck. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars in that particular game. Dolphins, Broncos. I really just want to throw my hands up and just say, who cares? This is another one of the doo-doo bowls of the day. It doesn't matter, really, but Denver has played decently well. It looks like Trevor Siemian's got his arm back, right? Like the rest did Trevor Siemian a little bit of good. They lost Paxton Lynch last week. I feel very bad for him. He got injured. And he was supposed to be taking over the Broncos. It was supposed to be his time. And then Paxton Lynch got injured. It looks like he might be done for a very long time, and certainly maybe even the rest of the season, which I feel very bad for him because I thought the young man was ready to take off. But that being said, I think Trevor Siemian, with a break, with a little bit of that rest to his arm, is going to be able to go out there and do what's necessary to beat the Dolphins, because the Dolphins are also terrible. The Chiefs and the Jets. The Chiefs are 6-5. The Jets are 4-7. The Jets are overleaping every expectation set out for them. And the Chiefs, who started off like one of the best teams in football, look absolutely horrid. They look dreadful. And actually, they no longer look like the best team in that division. You know who looks like the best team in that division? The Chargers look like the best team in that division. And who on earth saw that coming after the Chargers started 0-4? Because I didn't see that coming at all. Why? Like the Chiefs are just imploding. I don't think that they implode against the Jets, though. I think they do enough to win that football game because the Jets aren't very good. And they've got quarterback problems. They've got offensive line problems. They've got wide receiver problems. They've got problems everywhere. And I just don't think that that's enough to beat the Chiefs. The Texans and the Titans. Titans 7-4. Texans 4-7. The Texans, though, have been playing not terribly. Not terribly. I thought that once they lost to Deshaun Watson that they'd fold. But they haven't looked incredibly bad. They just look sort of bad. The Titans look sort of bad, too. They find ways to win, though. And I think that they're going to find a way to win over Houston as well. The Chargers are 5-6. The Browns are 0-11. I think the Chargers are going to win this game. I don't think that the Browns have a shot. You'd have to be insane to think the Browns have a shot the way that the Chargers have been playing as of late. The Panthers and the Saints are both 8-3, playing for dominance at the top of that division because, again, the NFC is completely loaded. You want to win your division so you can guarantee yourself a playoff spot because you're not guaranteed it otherwise. Granted, both of these teams are playing so well, I think that they actually both make the playoffs. I think one of them is going to make it in the wild card. I think the team that's going to make it in the wild card, the Panthers. The Saints are really good. Drew Brees looks like his Super Bowl era self again. And Alvin Kamara, the former Tennessee Volunteer, giving the Saints a bunch of offensive firepower. Whenever they don't know what to do on offense, they just tip it to Kamara, and Kamara is able to make plays with his feet. He's able to make plays in the passing game, in the running game, make defenders miss. And part of the reason why they've been able to win so many close games, I have to say, is probably Alvin Kamara. The Rams are 8-3. The Cardinals are 5-6. Now, the Rams are 8-3 because Jared Goff is playing really, really well. And I think that's something that's really interesting that the Rams do. If we're going to get into a little bit of football jargon, they get to the offensive line very, very quickly. And head coach Sean McVay helps Jared Goff with his pre-snap reads. Right. Some people think that this is cheating, but you are allowed to communicate with your quarterback until 15 seconds left on the play clock. So why not? Why not get a little help to the young fella, right? Until he's able to learn it for himself. I don't think that's cheating at all. That's very much within the rules. I don't understand that at all. I think everyone else is just being petty at this point. So yeah, Sean McVay, the Rams, they're 8-3. Their offense looks good. Todd Gurley, the former Georgia Bulldog, is having an incredible season. And I don't think that Arizona's got the answers to those questions. The Giants and the Raiders. The Raiders are also 5-6. A lot of 5-6 teams going on in the AFC West right now. And they're playing the Giants. The Giants look terrible. The Giants are benching Eli Manning. So there goes any hope or any lightness in the season for them. And they're starting Geno Smith of all human beings. Now, maybe if they started Austin Davis, I could understand the evaluation for the future. But let's be completely honest here. We have years and years of tape on Geno Smith. We know he's not a good quarterback. Why are we doing this to ourselves yet again? I'm going to go with the Raiders for all the obvious reasons. And also, I think Marshawn Lynch feasts on the Giants and their weak run defense. The Philadelphia Eagles are 10-1, which hurts my heart to say because I hate them so much. And the Seattle Seahawks are 7-4. I hope the Seahawks beat the Eagles. That's why I picked them. For no other reason than I hope that they win. That's it. No facts there. I refuse to be objective when talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. I hate them so much. And the last game of the week we'll get into is Monday Night Football. Steelers and Bengals. We'll talk about that on Monday. But the game I'm going to pick right now is the Cowboys and the Redskins game. The Redskins visiting the Cowboys. They're both 5-6 in the NFC. Both of them battling for their playoff lives, which seems unlikely right now because, as I mentioned before, the NFC is loaded. And the Cowboys are missing Ezekiel Elliott. That's a huge blow to them. Their offense becomes very one-dimensional. And we're seeing this from Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is not capable of leading a one-dimensional offense. And that's not his fault. That just means he's a normal guy, right? There's some quarterbacks that are transcendent. They can lead a one-dimensional offense. We've seen it in Peyton Manning's career. He can lead a one-dimensional offense. The best of Brett Favre. Brett Favre was able to lead a one-dimensional offense. There's some guys that are transcendent quarterback talents that can do it. Right? Michael Vick able to lead a one-dimensional offense with his legs instead of his arm, but he could do it. There are some guys that are capable of doing it. Not Dak. Dak's normal. There's nothing wrong with that, but then he's just going to need Ezekiel Elliott back. He does get back Tyron Smith on the offensive line, and when you talk about the Cowboys' offensive line being one of the best offensive lines in football, and they are top 5. They're right up there, in my opinion. I think the Vikings have a great offensive line. I think the Titans and the Raiders also have a great offensive line. I think the Cowboys are right up there. If they're not number 1, they're number 2 or 3. And Tyron Smith is like 50% of the reason why that line is so good. He is a monster at left tackle. And the Cowboys missed him in the last few weeks. They did, because whoever it was that was filling in at left tackle, don't remember the guy's name, doesn't matter now. But they wouldn't give him any help. They left that poor guy alone on an island. And he's no Tyron Smith, I can tell you that. But I'm going to tell you that the Cowboys are going to struggle tonight. They're going to have to hand the ball off to Alfred Morris. And look, Alfred Morris, the former Washington Redskin, I know all about Alfred Morris. Alfred Morris is a very, very, very good running back. But he doesn't have the vision, the explosiveness, or the athleticism that Ezekiel Elliott has. And because he's a normal guy, right? Ezekiel Elliott is a freak. Alfred Morris is a normal running back, right? He's averaging 5.8 yards a carry. He's not bad. He's just not Ezekiel Elliott. And when you don't have to worry about Ezekiel Elliott, it means you can focus all your attention onto Dak. I think that's what the Redskins are going to do. I think the game is going to be unnecessarily close because that's how the Redskins like to play it. I think the score is going to be 28-24. Lots of points will be scored. And I think the Redskins survive. That's what I think. You trust me. Nobody doubts or is more skeptical of my own football team than myself. I'm capable of being perfectly biased with the Redskins because they've disappointed me so often. Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com on 92.7 FM. Also, I was looking on the NFL website, NFL.com, and they had the Clutch Performers of the Week. You can go there and vote, and you can vote for guys like Antonio Brown and Luke Kuechly and Jared Goff and Case Keenum. But you can also vote for Arizona Cardinals kicker Phil Dawson. And they have a picture of Phil Dawson, and my man looks so old. Phil Dawson looks like he could be my grandfather, and probably could. I mean, I'm looking at a guy, and it's possible, too, that because Phil Dawson's face is next to the very young face of Jared Goff, and next to the very young face of Antonio Brown, that he looks particularly old in this picture. But Phil Dawson looks like he should be out on a porch somewhere in South Georgia, sipping on some sweet tea, smoking a pipe, rocking back and forth in a rocking chair. That's what he looks like. He looks so old. It's not even possible for a man to look that old and still be actively playing football in the NFL. Like, I've never actually seen what Phil Dawson looks like, so I didn't know. He looks so old. How is he still playing football? How is Phil Dawson kicking at a high enough level to not only make an NFL roster, but to be considered a clutch performer on NFL.com? He looks 1,000. Mercy, he looks like he could be my grandpa. Like, I'm not even kidding. I'm 27. Legitimately, Phil Dawson looks like he could be my grandpa's age. It seems impossible to me. Patrick Keon Rose here on Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. So, got a little bit of time. Auburn, Georgia. I'm taking Georgia in the game. I know I waffled a little bit, and I thought yesterday, well, maybe Auburn could do it, but I go back, I look at the tape, and I go, look, the game was close. The part one of this was very, very close. Right? Auburn started to run away with that football game late. Right? And it's a testament to how well they play defense, how consistently they run the ball. But are you asking me to believe that Auburn is going to win this game? And I believe that they're going to win it outright without Keon Johnson. I don't think Keon Johnson plays. I know that they haven't officially ruled him out, but, you know, you injure your shoulder and they take you away on a stretcher. I don't think that you play the following week. I understand the football players are generally freaky athletic people, and that some people are more freaky athletic than others, and Keon Johnson, I think, would probably file into the former category there, the latter category of just particularly freaky athletic. But I still think that there's something to be said about the way that he got injured. He was reaching out to try and score a touchdown, tried to get the ball past the pylon, and he ended up injuring his shoulder. I just don't know if he plays in this game. And without Keon Johnson, I'm not saying this becomes a different football game, but I think it does become a manageable football game if you're Georgia. Because the thing about Georgia's defense is not that they're big and strong. They're not. They're very fast. They're speedy. They have great lateral, sideline-to-sideline speed. And I think that that's going to be the difference maker here, is that if one of these Auburn backs is not capable of filling the void of Keon Johnson, and it's just a very big set of shoes to fill. If one of these backs is not capable of filling that void, then guess what? We're going to find ourselves very, very much in a situation in which Georgia's capable of taking a lead in this football game. And if they're capable of hanging on to it, and if they can get Jake Fromm to be able to stay on schedule, right? Not fall behind, not feel like he has to throw passes into tight windows, but just make deep throws when he's asked to. If he does that, and if Georgia's capable of getting an early lead and holding on to it, I think Georgia football able to win this game. SEC title game in Atlanta this Saturday night. Let's with Keon Rose, 2 Millennials Talk. Next.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news. Now,
after a string of burglaries dating all the way back to last July, investigators presented a case to the grand jury which allowed for the arrest of up to 8 people, each charged with multiple charges. They're believed to have been involved in a burglary ring operating in Ottawa, Collegedale, and East Brainerd. Each of the individuals having multiple charges pressed against them.
WBLZ HD4 224AZ Chattanooga.
92.7 Digital FM 95.3 HD4
CBS News. I'm Dave Barrett. Wall Street seems to like what's going on in Capitol Hill when it comes to tax reform. CBS's Nancy Cordes explains.
The Dow surged 330 points today as Wall Street sensed an impending windfall after several GOP holdouts said they were leaning towards voting yes.
I think it's likely to pass.
The centerpiece of the Senate plan is a huge cut to the corporate tax rate, which Republicans say will be a boon for U.S. workers.
We'll have more jobs, more companies,